Hey everybody, it's Tom once again, and today we're going to be talking about how to switch a VFD66 from Johnson Controls, their older series low temperature drive, over to the newer series, the VFD68. It's a really straightforward wiring change, and we'll just be discussing wiring today. I've got it connected right now, the VFD66, with a P499 sensor from Johnson Controls. So let's get to it. Begin by removing the little screw that holds on this cover and open her up, and now you'll be able to see the control wiring to the P499 and also the power input, and I've powered down and let the power dissipate, waited 10 minutes as it says here, and also we have the motor connected to the motor terminals. So it's really going to be a straightforward switchover. First we'll start by removing the control wiring. And as you can see, we have a red wire, a white wire, and a black wire. It looks like the red wire is on number 1, the white wire is on number 2, and the black wire is on number 4. And the number 2 is the number 2 input. Yours might have a white wire on number 3, or it might have 2 terminals or two sensor inputs, and one would be on 2 and one would be on 3. In this instance, apparently we're only using terminal 2, so we're going to remove pin 1, 2, and 4 to get this sensor off. Once the control wiring is removed, we can switch and go to the input power, and that is on terminal L1, L2, and L3 of the drive. In this instance I've got it single phased, so we've got single phase 230 going to the drive, so I only have L1 and L3 connected. We'll disconnect those next. Next we will disconnect terminal U, V, and W, and that's our motor power. So, and pay attention to the color scheme of these wires, because you'll want to connect U, V, and W up on the new drive the same way that you had it on the old drive. Once removed, that should be all you need to do with the old drive, and we can take and remove that. And let's work on our new drive. Here's a little better zoom in on the VFD68. So there's a couple covers that we need to take off here. Front cover pops off with a little screw right here. Then we've got our control wiring, and I'm going to highlight this right away. If you're out in the field and you can't get this drive to work, chances are there's a jumper wire that ships with it from the factory, and you'll have to plug in SD to STF or STR depending on which direction you want to go. And you need to do that, otherwise the drive won't run. That'll say up front, but we're not going to do that quite yet. We're going to remove the power covering so we can see all the power terminals. So it's kind of nice with this drive, it's they keep the power and the control wiring separate. So we will start out by wiring the input power, and we'll do that through terminals L1, L2, and L3 right here on the drive. Now we'll be single phasing it again, so we'll be connecting to L1 and L3. L1 and L3 are connected now, and in most applications when you're out in the field, I'm on a desk right now, so it's a little different. I don't have a ground wire for my incoming power. If I did, you'd connect it right down here to the chassis of the drive. So now we'll connect our motor, and if you remember your color code that you took off of the last drive, we'll connect it up just like that, and we'll connect it to the U, V, and W on the drive. So now we have U, V, and W connected to the motor, and also the ground for the motor connected to the chassis, the little green screws down on the bottom. And now that that's all connected up, we can put the cover back on that protects the power. Protects your hands from the power, should be more accurate. Alright, now that that's on, we can move to control wiring. So here are the wires from the P499 that we took off the VFD66. We have got a red wire, a white wire, and a black wire. And the red wire is, according to the manual, plus 5 volts that we have to connect it to, which in this drive is terminal 10. The white wire is going to be our analog input to the drive, which is going to be into either terminal 2 or terminal 4. It shouldn't really matter which one you put it in, actually. Only for programming later will it matter. But we're going to put it into terminal 2 because that's going to be analog input 1. And the black wire is going to be our common wire. So we'll connect them up to the red wire to terminal 10, the white wire to terminal 2, and the black wire to terminal 5. So if you've never used cage clamp style connectors, they're pretty easy to operate. You can either take this little orange tab here and push it in, and then push your wire in and then let the tab go. Or, especially on these P499 sensors, the wire is hard enough where you can just kind of stick it in and just push it in, and as long as it feels secure, it essentially is secure. So we're going to go red terminal 10, white terminal 2, black terminal 5. They're all right next to each other, and with a little luck you can just push it right in to each one of those terminals. You'll feel it going in, and when I pull it, it's easy to feel that I've got good connections on all of them. And in a different video I'll show you how to see what the actual voltage coming into the drive is, just to make sure your connections are okay. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just press each one of these tabs, push it in, and then let the tab go. There we go. The final step is going to be when you're ready to run the drive. This jumper from SD, which is like a common on the drive, needs to be connected to STF. As soon as you do that, the drive's going to start operation. So you're ready to roll. So now that we've got it all wired what we think is properly, let's give it some power and see if it turns on. Well, it definitely powers up, and yet it's not running right now, and as we discussed in the beginning, that's because of this jumper wire. Now there's a couple ways to run the drive, just real fast. If you just want to see if you're in the right, if your motor is going to go the right way, you can press PU/EXT once until the PU button lights up, and that's like a hand mode. Then press run. And so now we're basically in a keypad mode on the drive. And if you want to switch speeds, you can lower the speed or raise the speed just by turning the knob. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's going faster now. Yeah, it's ramping up to 60 Hertz. So if we stop that, it'll take a little bit to ramp down to 0, and once it stops, then if the motor's going the proper direction, that's great. We can just put it into automatic mode now. If it's not going the right direction, then power down, wait a little while, maybe 10 minutes or so for the drive to power down totally, and then just switch 2 of the phases on the motor leads, and you'll be ready to go. So in order to run it in automatic mode, then we're going to press PU/EXT again, and now we're in jog mode, but that's not the mode we want. We want external mode, and that external mode means an external analog input coming into it. And once that's set, take the jumper wire, plug it into STF, and it's going to be operating off of your P499 sensor. And that's the long and short of how to wire a VFD68 from Johnson Controls.